All right, shalom, shalom, Yasharala. All praises to the Most High Yahweh Basham Hamashiach Yahweh Shai. So I was gonna go live on Instagram, but I was having trouble doing it, so I just decided to go ahead and go live on here, right? So this lesson is gonna be titled "Sin and Disorder Through Social Media," right? So a few different things I want to talk about, real quick, kind of get off my chest. Figured I'd do it live on here, right? So Sirach, the 20th chapter and the second verse says, "It's much better to reprove than to be angry secretly," right? So I'm not angry, but I am vexed by a few things that I've been seeing and brothers been pointing out to me as well that they're seeing lately, amongst Israel, right? So the Most High put the Spirit on me to go ahead and speak on it. So this is Ezekiel chapter 3 and verse 17. It says, "Son of man, I have made thee a watchman unto the house of Israel. Therefore hear the word at my mouth, and give them warning from me." Verse 18, "When I say unto the wicked, Thou shalt surely die, and thou givest him not warning, nor speakest to warn the wicked from his wicked way to save his life, the same wicked man shall die in his iniquity, but his blood will I require at thine hand. Yet if thou warn the wicked, and he turn not from his wickedness, nor from his wicked way, he shall die in his iniquity, but thou hast delivered thy soul." Right. So as a watchman, as someone who the Most High has given eyes to see and ears to hear, it is our jobs to do what? To warn people of the wicked ways that they're walking in, so that Most High willing, they can repent of them. And if they don't, then that's completely on them. Our hands have been washed, right? So the thing is, let me say this first, right? I would never personally condemn anybody for your past life, right? Because I personally have a worse past life than probably the majority of the people that are watching this now or gonna watch it later, right? Gonna listen to this. Okay, but as soon as you start saying that you're in the truth, right? That you're in the truth, as soon as you start saying, "I'm Israel, I'm an Israelite, I'm a daughter of Zion, a daughter of the Most High, I'm a soldier for the Most High," you got these titles in your bios or saying things like this, saying Yah first, Yahweh this, the Most High that. You need to understand that you are now held to a higher standard for claiming to be the Most High's people. You are now held to a higher standard for saying these things, and you are now required to do more for the Most High, right? You are now held more accountable for living contrary to the words in the Bible because you know what you're supposed to do, right? So this is Luke chapter 12 and 47, or Salakia 12 and 48. It says, "But he that knew not and did commit things worthy of stripes shall be beaten with few stripes. For unto whomsoever much is given, of him shall be much required. And to whom men have committed much, of him they will ask the more." Right? So if the Most High gave you the ability and gave you that much that he gave you is those eyes to see and ears to hear, right? Shalom, Mak. Hope all is well with you. Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai Barakatah. Right. So as I was saying, if you are claiming to be Israel, if you're claiming to be a soldier for the Most High, daughter of Zion, etc., this means that you know something about the truth, right? And as it says in Luke 12 and 48, "Unto whomsoever much is given of him shall much be required." Right? If you commit things worthy of punishments, you're going to be beaten with much more punishments because you're not doing according to the Most High's will, right? So let's go ahead and go to Proverbs, the book of Proverbs, chapter 11 and verse 1. Salakia, one second. The book of Proverbs, chapter 11 and verse 1. It says, "A false balance is abomination to Yahweh, but a just weight is his delight." Right? So a false balance is an abomination to the Most High. The Most High hates a false balance. So when you're claiming to be a certain thing, you're claiming to be for the Most High, you're claiming to be this, that, and the other, a daughter of Zion, a man of the Most High, etc. And if you are not showing that through social media, then you are an abomination to the Most High, something that is hated of the Most High, and you're being lukewarm, right? So this is Revelation 3 and 15. I know thy works, that thou art neither hot nor cold. I would thou wert hot or cold. So then, because thou art lukewarm, and neither cold nor hot, I will spew thee out of thy mouth, out of my mouth. Salakia. So you have to be either on fire for the Most High, or he would rather you just be out in the world, right? Don't even try to follow him. Because what happens and what is happening is new people are coming into the truth, right? The Most High is awakening them in these last days, as it was prophesied. And a lot of them are seeing the hypocrisy amongst Israel, right? They're seeing how women are acting out of order, how men are acting out of order. And this tends to start pushing them away, right? This is like, well, I left Christianity for this, and now a lot of these people are still acting the same way, right? And one of the main ones that I want to touch on, oh, the water arc, I just saw that you had posted that up. Um, I guess I could talk to the brothers first, right? Because it starts with the top, with the head of the households, or with the head in general of the church, which is the brothers, right? So one thing that I've personally been seeing, and I can attest to this, right? And if you want to get First Timothy 5 and 8, if you're gonna be pulling up the verses, the water, First Timothy 5 and 8. One thing I've been seeing a lot, or hearing a lot of personally, because sisters reach out to me, brothers reach out to me, right, is that some brothers are teaching, whether it be on social media or whether it be in camps, right? But then they're not teaching or their households the way that they should be, right? And then this causes a lot of confusion because you got wives or children that aren't learning, but guess what? These men are out teaching on camera or out teaching, um, with certain camps or teaching on Instagram, etc. But they're not providing for their own household, right? The water. If you could get First Peter 3 and 7 as well, Baba Kashal. So this is First Timothy 5 and 8. It says, but if any provide not for his own, and especially for those of his own house, he hath denied the faith and is worse than an infidel. Right. So this is something that we all have to be very careful with. Whether you teach or post these scriptures and breakdowns and stuff like that on the internet, on your social media, or you're going out with camps and things of that nature, right? Because I've had sisters asking me for breakdowns on certain topics, and I'm like, who is this? And then I realize or come to find out that guess what? Her husband is in a camp or in a congregation, and they're not even teaching their household, right? So as it says here, if any provide not, and of course this is also talking about financially and physically providing food, um, raiment, which is clothing, right, and a home, but also spiritually, if they're not providing for your own household as a brother, as a man of the Most High, then you are denying the faith, right? And the Most High doesn't care how many people you're out teaching in the streets or how many posts you're making on Facebook and Instagram and all these other social media sites or on YouTube making videos, right? It doesn't matter if you're not providing and teaching your own household. Because think about it, it's like we read in Luke the 12th chapter. The Most High said that to whom much is given, much is required. If he gave you a family, right? If he gave you a wife, if he gave you children, then you have to teach that wife and those children, right? Shalom says, Nakama, Shalom, shalom. I hope all is well with you, sister. So let's go to First Peter 3 and 7. Right, I'm gonna go through these kind of quick because I wanted to touch on a few different things that I've been seeing through social media. Right, so this is First Peter 3 and 7. It says, "Likewise, ye husbands dwell with them according to knowledge, giving honor unto the wife as unto the weaker vessel." So, as a man of the most high, we as brothers have to be dwelling with our wives according to knowledge. So again, if you're teaching on social media, if you're teaching um, out in the streets, etc., you have to understand that we have to provide for our household first and foremost. That is who the Most High has given to us, right? That is who the Most High has given to us, and that should be our first, second, third concern, right? Of course, working out our own salvation, but part of working out our own salvation as a man of our household is to teach and to provide that bread of life and the living waters for our household, right? And it says, giving honor unto the wife as unto the weaker vessel, because she is the weaker vessel when it comes to physically, obviously, but then emotionally. And then when it comes to this wisdom, right, she needs a man to be watering her daily, like it says in Ephesians, the 5th chapter. Then it says, and as being heirs together of the grace of life, that your prayers be not hindered, right? If you could get me Deuteronomy 4 and 9, Ak, Baba Kashaw, Deuteronomy 4 and 9, Khan. The sister said, keep them coming. Khan. I'm gonna try and get through these kind of quick. I know it's late for a lot of y'all. I know the brother Barlos, I believe, lives on the East Coast, so even later for him. Right. So going back to First Peter 3 and 7, we have to dwell with our wives according to knowledge. Right. And you can't dwell with your wife according to knowledge if you're not breaking down the scriptures for her. Right. If you're not in the word daily with her, right, which is another thing. I'll probably get to that next, right? Another big problem is learning from social media only, right? Deuteronomy 4 and 9, it says, only take heed to thyself, and keep thy soul diligently, lest thou forget the things which thine eyes have seen. Right? So we have to be taking heed to ourselves and keeping our soul diligently. How? By being in these scriptures daily, and by giving these scriptures to our family, to our households daily, right? And lest thou forget the things which thine eyes have seen. So a lot of us have seen things that have turned us to the Most High. A lot of us have gotten signs that have made us grow closer to the Most High. We've seen these things, and it builds up our faith, right? And in turn builds up our works. Then it says, and lest they depart from thy heart all the days of thy life. So stay in these scriptures, or else they can depart from your heart, from your mind. Then it says, but teach them thy sons and thy sons' sons. Right? So we are supposed to be teaching them to our children and even to our grandchildren, if possible. Right? Some of us may not be old enough for that yet, but if it comes to that point, if we make it to that point, then we are supposed to be teaching our sons, and they can in turn teach their sons, and we can teach our grandsons and children as well. Right? And this means daughters too. Hebrew is a masculine language, so sons refers to the sons and daughters. Right? As a matter of fact, let me go to chapter 6, and this is Deuteronomy 6, and I'm going to read 6 and 7. It says, and these words which I command thee this day shall be in thine heart, and thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and shalt talk of them when thou sittest in thine house, and when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up. Right? I'm going to read it one more time. It's Deuteronomy 6 and 7. And these words which I command thee this day shall be in thine heart. So talking about the Torah, right? The laws, statutes, and commandments, the first 5 books. And thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children. You have to teach them diligently to your children, meaning consistently, right? Diligently to thy children, and shalt talk of them when thou sittest in thine house, and when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up. So all throughout the day, we're supposed to be teaching our children or talking about the scriptures, about the Most High to our children, right? So it's completely out of order. It's a complete false balance, which is an abomination to the Most High, according to Proverbs 11:1. When you can be teaching out in the streets, you can be teaching on social media, etc., but you're not teaching your own household, right? That's a complete false balance, and it is sin, right? It is sin because as we read here in Deuteronomy 4:9, and then the 6th chapter, and then in the 11th chapter, it says the exact same thing as it says right here, right? I'm gonna read it one more time because the brother just posted it up. If you could get Psalm 1, Psalm 1 and verses 1 through 3, Baba Kasha. So this is Deuteronomy 6:6. It says, and these words which I command thee this day shall be in thine heart, and thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and shalt talk of them when thou sittest in thine house. Right? So the words that were commanded unto us men of Israel, and even for you sisters that are single, if you're single mothers, you should be, to the best of your ability, teaching them to your children, right? Because it's like it says in Ezekiel 16:44, as is the mother, so is the daughter, right? So if you're not teaching and you're not studying and being in this word on a daily basis, consistently and following them, then your children 99% of the time are not going to be as well, right? All right, the water. If you could also get, what is it, Joshua 1:8. Joshua 1:8, Babakasha. So another problem, right, that I see, and not only see, but that I've heard many people um tell me personally, right? Because like I said, a lot of brothers and sisters reach out to me through Instagram and even through my email sometimes, is that they only learn from social media. The only studying that they do is through social media, right? Because one question I always ask brothers and sisters, if they want to do like a counseling, one of the first things I ask them is, okay, well, have you been studying, right? How much do you study, or how much do you read, and how do you study, etc., right? And a lot of them, their answer is that they just read posts or read scriptures from social media, right? So this is Psalm chapter 1 and verse 1. It says, blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful, right? So you will be blessed if you don't walk in the counsel of the ungodly, right? You'll be blessed if you don't stand in the way of sinners, or sit in the seat of the scornful, meaning mocking, scorning, etc. Verse 2, verse 2, but his delight is in the law of Yahweh, and in his law doth he meditate day and night, right? You will be blessed if you delight in the law, which in when you look at this in the Hebrew, it doesn't say the law, it says the Torah, right? The Tawara, the Torah, which is the first 5 books. And of course, going throughout all the scriptures, right? But Joshua, remember, at Joshua's point, Joshua is the first book after the Torah, right? So what were they using back then? What were they reading back then? It was just the Torah, right? But his delight is in the law of Yahweh, and his law doth he meditate day and night, right? So at least you should 100% at least one time a day, either in the day or in the nighttime, be in the scriptures in your Bible, right? And meditate in it. Meditate, there's a bunch of different definitions for meditate, right? But to me, the most the one that fits here perfectly is to meditate means to concentrate on one thing, right? To only think upon one thing. So when you block everything out, right? And you just study the word, you're meditating in it day and night, right? And then verse 3, and he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that bringeth forth his fruit in his season. His leaf also shall not wither, and whatsoever he doeth shall prosper, right? So if you want to prosper in anything, right, you've got to be in these scriptures, and not only just meditating and reading the scriptures, but like it says in verse 3 here, it says, he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that bringeth forth his fruit in his season. So you have to start doing what the scriptures say and start bringing forth these fruits, right? It's like Yahushua gave the example, gave the parable that some people would bring forth fruit, some tenfold, 30-fold, 60-fold, right? So on and so forth. But you have to start bearing fruit from the words that you're reading. So this is Joshua 1 and 8. This book of the law shall not depart out of thy mouth, but thou shalt meditate therein day and night, that thou mayest observe to do according to all that is written therein. Right? So again, it's saying that you are supposed to be meditating in the word day and night, right? Not using social media all day and all night and then give the most high 5-10 minutes of your life, right? Which I know this is a big issue because many brothers and sisters have reached out and have told me that this is an issue for them, right? And then once you meditate in there day and night, it says that thou mayest observe to do according to all that is written therein. How are you going to do what the Bible says to do if you're only learning here and there little things on social media? Then you get distracted for 20, 30, 40, an hour, a couple hours, and then you read one or two Bible verses. You're just scrolling, you read it real quick, you don't really lay it to heart. You don't write it upon the table of your heart like it says in Proverbs, right? It's just going in one ear and out the other, so to speak, right? So we have to start meditating in the word day and night, right? And you could study uh, in the Bible. This could mean you could be watching videos and taking notes. This could mean that you're doing flashcards, etc., right? But what it all comes down to is actually learning from the word and any learning from anything besides just social media. Just looking through slides and then reposting exactly what you see, right? And not really laying it to heart, not really doing it, right? And that's another thing. There's even brothers that have reached out to me and say, you know what, I really haven't been studying. It's just social media, blah blah blah. And some of these brothers, they post a lot of stuff about the scriptures, right? Even sisters, and that's another thing. As a matter of fact, we'll go ahead and jump into that real quick. Or actually, I want to stay on the brothers. So if you could get me Psalm, what is it, 101 and 3, 101 and 3, Baba Kashaw. So another big problem, and this has been a problem for as long as I've been in the truth, right? But it seems like it seems to me, and not with everybody, right, but with certain brothers, they just don't think that it's wrong, I guess you could say. But there's a lot of brothers that follow lascivious women, right? Speaking on social media, there's a lot of brothers, and you'll be surprised that some of these brothers are so-called teachers. Some of these brothers are so-called prophets, and some of these brothers are so-called priests, etc. Right? And they're following women on social media that are half naked. They're following women on social media that got all their breasts out. Right? They're following lascivious women. We'll just leave it at that. Right? Which completely goes against the scriptures because, as we're going to read right here in Psalm 101 and 3, it's not something that you should be doing, especially as a so-called man or prophet of the Most High, right? Um, praise Ahaya and Yeshaya, shalom, shalom. I'm not sure if you're a brother or sister, but shalom, shalom. Right, so this is Psalm 101 and 3. And if you could get me James 1:14 through 16, Ak Baba Kashaw. James, first chapter, 14 through 16. So this is Psalm 101 and 3. I will set no wicked thing before mine eyes. I hate the work of them that turn aside. It shall not cleave to me. Right? So like I was saying, this is another huge issue. Brothers or so-called brothers, so-called teachers, etc., that are in the faith or claim to be in the truth, but they're following a whole bunch of lascivious women. Right? This is the best advice that I could give you. I will set no wicked thing before mine eyes. I will set no wicked thing before mine eyes. It's wicked for, in the eyes of the Most High, it is wicked for a woman to be half naked on social media. It is wicked for a woman to be showing her breasts, her legs, her booty, whatever the case may be, on social media, right? That's a wicked thing. So us men have to make sure we're not setting that before our eyes. Why? Because like it says here, I hate the work of them that turn aside, right? You have to hate the evil and love the good. Amos 5 and 15. It says, hate the evil, love the good, establish judgment at the gates, right? Meaning, if you see something and it's wicked, you automatically should be judging that in your mind, in your heart, and saying, okay, that is wicked. And guess what? I hate the work of them that turn aside. This could turn me aside from the Most High. This could turn me out of the spirit, right? This could turn me to an evil, into an evil spirit, or having an evil spirit come on me. Because like it says after that, it says, it shall not cleave to me. This is what happens, right? You may start looking at a lustful or a lascivious woman, and now you got that type of lustful or lascivious spirit on you. It shall cleave to you, right? So the best thing to do is not to set that before your eyes, especially when, like, I talk to some, I counsel with a lot of sisters that are single or looking for a head, right? And I've heard multiple times where they say, well, yeah, it's hard because, brothers, they can claim to be this or that, but then they're actually lustful, right? And multiple sisters, many sisters have said, like, yeah, I mean, you just go through the females he's following, you can tell, like, look at the types of females they're following, right? So it's real easy. It's kind of like brothers are telling on themselves. You know what I'm saying? They're telling on themselves that they have a lustful spirit on them, right? Praise Ahaya and Yeshaya, definitely guilty of following lustful women, and it was making me slip into pornography. Praise the Most High, I've been delivered. Khan, all praise the Most High. And that's a story that I've heard many times, right? Many times from many different brothers, and even from a few sisters, right? You never want to. It's like that saying goes. It's like a snowball going downhill, right? You don't want to get that snowball going, because it's just going to get worse and worse and bigger and bigger and bigger. So what you need to do is not set any wicked thing before your eyes in the first place, right? The brother Bartos put Khan. You can't put any wicked thing before your eyes. You have to hate the work of them that turn aside. Sisters like that are being used to turn you aside by them evil spirits, right? And if you don't guard your eyes and your ears and your heart, your mind, it's going to cleave to you, those evil spirits, right? So this is James. As a matter of fact, could you get Sirach 21 and 2, Baba Kashaw? So this is James 1 and 14. It says, but every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust and enticed, right? You get tempted to watch pornography or to look at things of that nature, because you are being drawn away out of your own lust, right? And then those evil spirits entice you, right? They tempt you. Verse 15. Then when lust hath conceived, so think about that for a second. When a woman conceives, what does that mean? It means she's pregnant, right? When lust hath conceived, it bringeth forth sin. So when you start getting in that lustful temptation, right? When lust conceives, when you conceive that evil lust spirit, right? Because remember in Psalm 101 and 3, it says, it shall not cleave to me. It shall not cleave to me. What's going to cleave to you? An evil spirit, right? So right here in 15, it says, then when lust hath conceived, you start getting in that lustful spirit and you conceive and you get impregnated, so to speak, with that evil spirit. It bringeth forth sin, and sin, when it is finished, bringeth forth death, right? Because like it says in Romans, the wage of sin is what? Is death. You keep living in that lustful spirit. You keep being tempted and falling into sin for lascivious women, then guess what? It is going to bring forth your death, right? Spiritually and even physically, possibly. So it says, do not err, my beloved brethren. Don't err, right? Don't err from following after these lascivious women. Don't err and go away from the scriptures. This Sirach 21 and 22. Flee from sin as from the face of a serpent, for if thou comest too near it, it will bite thee. The teeth thereof are as the teeth of a lion, slaying the souls of men, right? Slaying the souls of men. So we have to flee from sin as from the face of a serpent. It's like I said many times, I've asked many people before, if there was a big old snake and you walk in a room and it is looking right at you, right? Like it's going to bite you. What are you going to do? You're going to take off. You're going to flee from it, right? Because if you come too near it, it's going to bite you, right? So that's how we have to look at sin. That's how we have to look at um, any type of sin, right? We're talking right now about lascivious women, but this can pertain to any type of sin. If you've had a weed problem in the past, anytime you see people smoking weed and you feel like, hey, I might be tempted, you need to flee from it, right? Because if not, the teeth thereof are as the teeth of a lion, slaying the souls of men, right? And what this comes down to when it comes to following lascivious women and lusting after them, etc., and end up sinning for them, like the brother said, and like I've heard many other brothers say, that it can make you slip into pornography, right? It's a slippery slope. What it comes down to is being incontinent, right? Not being able to control urges, right? In this case, a sexual urge, right? Being incontinent. You have to pray for a continent spirit, right? Being able to control yourself, like it says in Proverbs 25 and 28, right? You have to learn to control yourself, and that's something that you definitely should pray for. And another thing that can definitely help you with that is fasting, right? Because fasting, if you learn how to control what you eat, what you put into your mouth, everything else becomes easier to control, right? Because when you get that urge to eat, right away you're gonna go look for something to eat, right? So once you learn how to control that, that's gonna help you to get rule over your spirit, right? So you're not like a city that's broken down without walls, like it says in Proverbs 25th chapter, right? So going from following lascivious women to those lascivious women, right? Women that don't have discretion, women that are shameless, right? Women that are lascivious, right? If you want to give me what is it? Galatians 5:19 through about, I think it's 21. Galatians 5, yeah, 19 through 21. Baba Kashaw. So the brother said, it's a practice of discipline as well. Fasting helps in all forms of discipline. I agree 100%. 100%. Because it's hard. People, some of you brothers and sisters that may be watching this now or watch this later, if you've never fasted, you need to fast, right? I highly, highly, highly recommend that you fast because you're gonna see how little of discipline you have, or you're gonna see that hey, maybe you have more discipline than you thought, right? Like the brother said here, it's a practice of discipline, and it's going to help, and it's going to fan out, so to speak, into all other areas of discipline, right? It's like when I first started doing jujitsu, I had already done boxing for a while. When I was a child, I had done karate and some other forms of martial arts. So when I went into jujitsu, little things that I learned from these other disciplines of martial arts translated into this other form of discipline, right? So fasting is definitely something I would highly, highly recommend, right? Drea, shalom, shalom. Hope all is well with you, Ak. And then if you could get me, let me see, Sirach 26, Sirach chapter 26, verse 15 and verse 25. Sirach 26, verse 15 and 25. The Wada Ak. So this is Galatians 5 and 19 through 21. Right. So we talked about for the brother that just came in, we just talked about following lascivious women, right? And how we're not supposed to set wicked things before our eyes. It's gonna lead into lust, it's gonna lead into temptation, right? And then in Sirach 21, how it says that you're supposed to flee from sin as from the face of a serpent, right? So following lascivious women, definitely something that leads brothers astray, that I've seen and heard brothers tell me over and over and over, right? So now we're getting into those women that are being lascivious, but they claim to be in the truth, right? So this is Galatians 5 and 19. It says, now the works of the flesh are manifest, which are these: adultery, fornication, uncleanness, lasciviousness. Khan, the brother put that's a fact. Khan, easy to be led astray by that, right? So it said the works of the flesh are manifest, right? The works of the flesh are manifest. And like Yahushua said, the flesh profiteth nothing, right? It's the spirit that quickens, meaning this it's the spirit that revives you, right? Spiritually, mentally, physically, everything. Now the works of the flesh are manifest, which are these: adultery, fornication, uncleanness, lasciviousness, right? So lasciviousness is having or showing yourself in a wantonness, right? In a sexually provocative or sexually wanton way. Perfect example is the way a lot of so-called sisters dress, right? Showing a whole bunch of skin, showing their breasts, showing their legs, etc. Or they don't even have to do that, right? They got on skin tight dresses. You can still see all the cracks of their body. There's nothing left to the imagination, right? And now it's interesting because if you look at this, it says the works of the flesh are manifest, which are these: adultery, fornication, uncleanness, lasciviousness. By a woman being lascivious, it can lead a man into adultery and fornication, right? And uncleanness. From that one lasciviousness, it can lead her or him into all of these things: adultery, fornication, uncleanness. And that's what Yahushua spoke of in Matthew 5. As a matter of fact, if you can get that out, Matthew 5 and 28. Matthew 5 and 28. So this is verse 21. It's still going on: the works of the flesh: envyings, murders, drunkenness, revelings, and such like, of the which I tell you before, as I have also told you in the past time, that they which do such things shall not inherit the kingdom of the Most High. Right? So it's plain and simple. It's very clear to see that Anybody that is being lascivious, right, is not going to inherit the kingdom of the Most High. Why? Because not only is that woman being fleshly, right, working the works of the flesh, but she is also suffering sin upon her neighbor, right? Which it says in Leviticus 19 and 17. If you want to pull that up too, Baba Kashag and the water for these verses, right? Because a woman is suffering sin upon other men by doing so, by being lascivious. You know how many men can go off from seeing one woman's Instagram lascivious pictures, right? How many how many lustful spirits y'all think Salaki is Leviticus 19 and 17, right? Like the brother said here, she's causing others to sin. So let's say you got a so-called sister, a woman that claims to be in the truth, and she's taking pictures sideways so you can see all her booty, right? Which I've reached out to many sisters in the past and in the recent past and told them about this. Some take heed, some don't care, right? So the brother said she's causing others to sin. How many men you think they can put a lustful spirit on, right? Many, many from one person, right? From one picture, even from one video, put many, many, many wicked spirits on brothers, lustful spirits on brothers, and cause many brothers to sin and to go off. With Leviticus 19 and 17, thou shalt not hate thy brother in thine heart. Thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor and not suffer sin upon him. Right? So it is hating your brother or sister, suffering sin upon them. It is. You're showing hate towards them. Because loving them is doing what? Correcting them, getting them out of sin. So you are showing hate to your brother and sister when you are suffering sin upon them, right? And then the majority of these women are married, whether they admit it or not, right? Whether they admit it or not. So this is Matthew 5 and 28. It says, I say unto you that whosoever looketh on a woman to lust after her hath committed adultery with her already in his heart. Right? This is the spirit of lust that a lot of women, even women that claim to be sisters in the truth, are putting on men. They're causing them to commit adultery in their hearts, in their minds. And like I said before, the majority of these women are married women, right? And that goes back to the very first one that we went over, which was a lot of brothers that they teach out in the streets or in camps or congregations or on social media, on YouTube, etc. But they don't have their households in order, right? And your woman is the next in line in your household, right? So that they should be getting rebuked, corrected accordingly, right? And they shouldn't be able to be shameless and lascivious, especially like this on social media for so many brothers to see and to get led astray. So this is Sirach 26 and 25. A shameless woman shall be counted as a dog, but she that is shamefaced will fear Yahweh. Right? A shameless woman shall be counted as a dog by men and by the Most High. What is a female dog called? A bitch, right? We know what it's called. So that's the Most High saying it without saying it. So what is being shameless? Not being shamefaced, right? Not being shamefaced. It says, but she that is shamefaced will fear Yahweh, right? It's like my daughters when they started wearing skirts and dresses, and they're 11 and 13, right? Just to give you a perfect example. When they first started wearing skirts and dresses years ago, they didn't really like it, right? They didn't really like it at all. And now my oldest daughter, just the other day, she's 13, and she said like it's weird. Like I don't even like just wearing tights. Like even if I'm just in my room or something, like I still feel like I need to put a skirt on or something. And that's that spirit of shamefacedness, right? That can only come from the Most High. So this is Sirach 26 and 15. A shamefaced and faithful woman is a double grace, and her consonant mind cannot be valued. Salaki, hold on. Going to listen from my phone while it's on the charger, so I won't be able to pull up verses. I'll just be listening. Khan, that's no sweat. The water for posting these up. For the first 45 minutes. The water. So again, Sirach 26 and 15. A shamefaced and faithful woman is a double grace, right? Being shamefaced means not being how a lot of these women are. It is not shamefaced to be lascivious. It is not shamefaced to be showing all your body. It is not shamefaced to be, okay, the water. It's not shamefaced to be all out there, right? And this even goes with because when we talk about discretion, right, about being discreet, like it says in Titus the second chapter, that's not just physically, right? That's not just in looks. It's a spirit that you have to have on you. It's like I've seen I've seen women that are not discreet in spirit, right? They put all their business on social media. They talk about their husbands or their family or this person this and this person that and tail bearing. That is not a spirit of shamefacedness. That is not a spirit of being discreet, right? And even when it comes to like certain women that are on social media that claim to be in the truth and they're cussing and they got dirty mouths, right? A real man doesn't want to hear that, right? They don't want to have a woman that's all loud and cussing and trying to get in everybody's business, right? So this is First Timothy, First Timothy 2, chapter 2, verse 9. It says, in like manner also that women adorn themselves in modest apparel, with shamefacedness and sobriety, not with broided hair or gold or pearls or costly array, but which cometh women professing godliness with good works. Right? So the whole thing basically is talking about, see, some people see the modest apparel and they think, okay, well, that's just talking about how she looks, right? But it's also talking about your spirit. It's the way you carry yourself as a woman, just like it matters how a man carries himself as well, right? So it says, in like manner also that women adorn themselves in modest apparel. Modest apparel meaning shamefaced apparel, not shame that's not apparel that's going to bring shame to your husband, that's going to bring shame to the Most High, that's going to bring shame to your parents, right? Because most of us, uh, if you were born in the 90s like me, or farther back than that, most of our parents do not approve, whether they're in the truth or not. They do not approve of this lascivious generation's clothing and the things they wear, right? Being all out there and having no shame, right? So in modest apparel with shamefacedness and sobriety. So being shamefaced again, it says, and then with sobriety. So now this doesn't just mean not drinking, not smoking weed. This also means having a sober spirit, being able to control your spirit, right? Because I've seen many sisters, and of course it happens with brothers as well. But right now we're on the topic of sisters. I've seen many sisters go on people's pages, on my page, on Instagram, on whatever, and man, they're just going at brothers, right? Telling them this and that and the other, right? But it literally says that it's a shame for a woman to speak in the church, right? And if she would learn anything, she should learn from her husband in First Corinthians, the 14th chapter. So that's completely out of order, right? Or you have women that are that are trying to teach men and show them how they're wrong, right? Which, as a matter of fact, I'm gonna go to that really quick. First Corinthians, the 14th chapter, right? Because this is something else that's definitely out of order, right? And actually, I'm gonna start on 14 and 40. First Corinthians 14 and 40. Let all things be done decently and in order. Okay, things are supposed to be done in order. So now let's read the 34th verse of the same chapter. Actually, I'm going to start on 33. For the Most High is not the author of confusion, but of peace, as in all churches of the saints. All right, the Most High is not the author of confusion. What is confusion? Going along with verse 40, it says, let all things be done decently and in order. Confusion is doing things out of order. Okay, doing things out of order is going to bring confusion, right? And the Most High is not the author of confusion. He's the author of peace. It brings a certain peace to your spirit when you do things in order according to the word, right? So verse 34, let your women keep silence in the churches, for it is not permitted unto them to speak, but they are commanded to be under obedience, as also saith the law. Right? They are commanded to be under obedience, as also saith the law. So now what is this referring to? Who are they supposed to be obedient to? If we go to the law, let's go to Genesis 3 and 16. It says, oh, Salakia, it's on the wrong page. 3 and 16, it says, unto the woman, he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. In sorrow thou shalt bring forth children. And thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over thee. Right? Thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over thee. So now going back to 1 Corinthians 14:34, it says, let your women keep silence in the churches, for it is not permitted unto them to speak, but they are commanded to be under obedience, as also saith the law. So when it says in Genesis 3:16, the husband is supposed to rule over the wife, right? That's what it's talking about here. They are commanded to be under obedience to the husband. So let's read verse 35. And if they will learn anything, let them ask their husbands at home, for it is a shame for women to speak in the church. It is a shame for women to speak in the church. Who is it a shame to? It's a shame to her and to her husband. Because if we're reading it in context, it's saying she is commanded to be under obedience, as saith the law. So a woman going out and trying to argue, she's gonna say she's trying to correct or rebuke or whatever, right? But basically what she's doing is arguing. She's arguing with men, right? And that's coming from a spirit of pride, 100%, right? And like Proverbs 13 and 10, it says, only from pride cometh contention, right? So you got sisters on social media trying to contend with men about certain laws or certain breakdowns or certain precepts, etc., right? And only from pride cometh contention, Proverbs 13 and 10, right? Remember, the Most High hates pride, according to Proverbs 8 and 13, right? And pride comes before the fall, Proverbs 16 and 19, right? Pride comes before the fall. So women, when it comes to this, and what I've heard many sisters, so-called sisters or women say is, well, that's not a law, right? They'll say, well, if you will learn anything, let them ask their husbands at home. Well, it's not a law. Well, this is still the word of the Most High, right? And it's referring to certain laws to back it up, which is what Paul did very often, right? And that's why he said, I speak to them that know the law, right? The problem is a lot of brothers and sisters don't know the laws. that they are referring to, right? That they're speaking of. So I'm gonna read it one more time. It says, I'm gonna read the second part of 34 and then 35. But they are commanded to be under obedience, as also saith the law. And if they will learn anything, let them ask their husbands at home, for it is a shame for women to speak in the church. So when women are trying to argue or trying to even ask questions, right? If you're married and you ask questions to another brother, you're still bringing shame to your husband, right? And that's why I tell sisters all the time. I give them the verse in John, what is it, the fourth chapter, where it says, Yahushua said, "Go get thee thy husband," right? If a sister's married, I'll say, "Look, well, ask your husband. He can either talk to me or I could talk to both of y'all," right? Because it's a shame for a woman to have to go to another man to be getting the bread of life or the living waters, right? So arguing with men online is not a good look for anybody. And to be honest, I mean, like I said before, it's just giving a bad look to everybody in Israel. It's completely out of order. And going back to First Timothy 2 and 12, right, the second chapter, we're right before it. Actually, I'm gonna start on 11, um, or verse 10, Salakia. But which becometh women professing godliness with good works. Right? So this was talking about women adorning themselves in modest apparel. Now it's saying they're supposed to be professing godliness and have good works, which is doing what? Following the word, right? Verse 11, let the women let the woman learn in silence with all subjection. But I suffer not a woman to teach, nor to usurp authority over the man, but to be in silence, right? And that's what a lot of these sisters really want, right? They're still coming from that Christian mindset, that Christian spirit of wanting to have authority over men. So they don't care what this says. This they don't care that it says, "I suffer not a woman to teach," right? They would rather try to teach than to do what the Most High made them to do and be a helpmeet and build up their house and teach their children and teach younger women, right? Which is the only people in reality that women are supposed to be teaching. They're supposed to be teaching younger women. And when I say younger, I mean in the faith, all right? Let's say you got a 25-year-old sister, she's been in the truth 5 years, and then a 40-year-old sister comes, she could still teach her, right? She's younger in the faith, right? And you can read that in Titus 2, the duties that a woman is supposed to be doing. But right here it says, I suffer not a woman to teach, nor to usurp authority over the man, but to be in silence. Right? When a man is teaching, you're not supposed to interrupt him. When a man is teaching, you're not supposed to be trying to argue with him. Right? Because like I said already, Proverbs 13 and 10. It's one of my favorite verses right now because a lot of Israel, in case y'all haven't noticed, are using social media to have so many different contentions, right? To have so many different divisions. And I get debating your cause, right? Because the scriptures also say, debate thy cause with thy neighbor himself. But when you want to debate something from a spirit of love, you're going to go directly to that person, right? You're going to either message them, you're going to try and call them, you're going to try and talk to them in person. But you could tell that people are doing this out of a spirit of pride because they are not trying to debate the neighbor himself. They're trying to do it online for everybody to see, right? And that's why it says only from pride cometh contention. They're trying to cause these contentions. And what all it really does is take time and energy away and attention away from doing what we actually need to be doing, which is following these laws, statutes, commandments, and precepts, right? But going back to First Timothy 2 and 9, just saying that because I don't want people to think I'm just saying sisters are the only ones that do this. No, this is just what we're talking about right now at the this minute, right? In the beginning of the video, we were talking more about men, and now we're going into the sisters. So it says, 1 Timothy 2 and 12, but I suffer not a woman to teach, nor to usurp authority over the man, but to be in silence. For Adam was first formed, then Eve, and Adam was not deceived, but the woman being deceived was in the transgression, right? So the woman was the first one to be deceived because as we read in First Timothy 3 and 7, that the woman is the weaker vessel, right? Weaker physically, of course, men are physically stronger, but also the big thing is emotionally, right? Women aren't as strong emotionally as us men are. Now, I do know a lot of emotional men, but we're talking in general, right? In general, women are not as emotionally strong as men are. So therefore, they tend to go off their emotions sometimes a little too much, sometimes a lot too much, right? And instead of going off of what the scriptures say, they're going to go off of how they're feeling, right? Perfect example, case in point, what we just read. The First Timothy 2 and 12 says, I suffer not a woman to teach, nor usurp authority over a man, but to be in silence. A sister will know that verse, have that verse in her mind, and then you know what? No, he's wrong. I need to tell him this, that, and the other. When in reality, she should be going to her husband, right? If she really, if it's really that much of a problem, maybe she should go to her husband and say, hey, can you see what's up with this? Because didn't you teach me this or that? Or she should just stay off of that man's page, right? Because if she's going to learn anything, she's supposed to learn from who? From her husband at home in the first place, right? And the biggest problem is, in my understanding or opinion, is that sisters just aren't in the right spirit, right? They're not they're not in the spirit of Sarah, right? Which, let me get First Peter. We'll go to First Peter chapter 3 and verse 5. It says, for after this manner in the old time the holy women also who trusted in the Most High adorned themselves, being in subjection unto their own husbands, right? First Peter 3, 5, and 6, right? So verse 5 says, after this manner in the old time, the holy women, right? The set apart women also who trusted in the Most High adorned themselves, being in subjection unto their own husband, right? It's a blessing to have a woman, and like we read earlier, it's a double grace, like it said in Sirach 26, to have a woman that is in the spirit of being in subjection and wanting to be in subjection and wanting to be ruled over by her husband, right? Because that's a very rare thing in this day and age, right? And that's how the holy women of old were, right? So when it comes to arguing and trying to teach men and even learning from other men and things of that nature, this is going against being in subjection to your husband, right? I'm gonna read verse 6. Even as Sarah obeyed Abraham, calling him Lord, whose daughters ye are, as long as ye do well and are not afraid with any amazement. Right? So it says, even as Sarah obeyed Abraham, calling him Lord, she was calling him Adawan, right? Calling him master. If you look in the Greek, one of the definitions for this is master, right? And I even know brothers, I know multiple brothers that their wives, out of respect, call them master. I'm not saying that's something I would do, but that's something that's to each his own, right? That's up to each man's household. But I guarantee you, the majority of women would not want to call their husband Lord, would not want to call their husband Adawan, would not want to call their husband master, right? But this is what Sarah was doing to Abraham, right? And then it says, whose daughters ye are, as long as ye do well. So I've seen a lot of sisters and heard a lot of sisters say things like, oh, I'm a daughter of Sarah, right? Well, this says you're only a daughter of Sarah if you are doing well. Meaning what? What are we talking about here? Being modest and being in subjection to your husband, right? And it says, and are not afraid with any amazement. And many women are afraid, and it's an amazing thing, and they're afraid to be in subjection to their husbands. right? But I'll go ahead and kind of digress on that. So that is with arguing in general, contentions on social media, right? Women and men. And like I said already, that comes from a complete spirit of pride, right? A spirit of haughtiness, of conceit, and the Most High hates pride, right? We're supposed to hate pride because the Most High hates pride. Proverbs 8:13, right? So another big issue with social media is just in general spending too much time on it, right? And I can be honest, I've done this in the past as well, and that's why we have to examine ourselves daily, right? We have to examine ourselves, like it says in 2 Corinthians 13:5, and correct ourselves, right? So this is 1 Corinthians 6:12. It says, "All things are lawful unto me, but all things are not expedient. All things are lawful unto me, but all things are not expedient." So just because there's no law that says you can't be on social media 2, 3, 4, 5. I know people that have told me, yeah, I mean, I'm on social media like 6, 8, 10 hours a day, right? There's no law that says you can't do that because social media wasn't invented back then, right? So it says all things are lawful unto me, but all things are not expedient. Expedient means profitable. How is it going to profit you in the real world, right? In your real everyday life to just be on social media all the time? It's not, right? You're not going to be getting things done. You're not going to be providing for your household. You're not going to be studying the way you need to. You're not going to be preparing your ark, so to speak, for the things that are to come, right? It says, all things are lawful for me, but I will not be brought under the power of any. So a lot of people are under the power of social media and of their cell phones and the internet in general, right? And this is why I've said many times, um, especially I think on that live that me and the brother Jomar did on fasting months back. I said anything that you cannot fast from, you're a slave to, right? So when it says here, I will not be brought under the power of any, right? If you're under the power of social media or the internet, whether it be Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, what's the other one? Snapchat, all these other social media platforms, Twitter, whatever the case may be, then you need to fast from it. Because if you can't fast from it, then that's how you know you're under the power of it, right? So spending too much time on social media, and if you're not able to fast from it, right? And that's why I try at least like once a week. I'll just get off of Instagram or because that's the only social media I really have. I don't have Facebook or none of that other stuff. At least once a week, I try and get off for a day, a couple days. Sometimes it's like, you know what, this is cool. I don't even want to get back on it, and it'll be longer than that, right? But if you can't, and if you're spending that much time on it, then that's when it's becoming your what? Your idol, right? Which is the first of the 10 commandments, right? Or Salaki, not your idol, your God, right? So this is Exodus chapter 20, and I'm gonna go 1 through 3. It says, "And the Most High spake all these words, saying, I am Yahweh thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other gods before me." Right? Thou shalt have no other gods before me. So when you really look into what the word God means, and you look at the different definitions and such, you're going to realize that it really means a power, right? Because the Most High said that we are the gods of the earth, Psalm 82:6. In 2 Corinthians 4:4, it says that Satan is the god of this world, right? He's the power of this world. And then the most high God, the most high power, right? even calls angels gods, lowercase g, right? So having another God, another power before you. Oh, Shalom, Mount Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai Barakatham. Barzayah Judah, the Ak, posting up the scripts. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Right? So when you're spending too much time on social media, and you know when you're spending too much time, right? 2 Corinthians 13:5. This is why it is imperative to our salvation that we are constantly on a daily basis examining ourselves, right? Examining what you're doing, examining what you're not doing, examining how much time you're putting into certain things, and what you're slacking on, right? Because if not, if you're on social media all day and then you give the Most High 5 or 10 minutes of your life to study, then guess what? Your phone, your social media, your internet, that is your God. And this is literally the first of the 10 commandments that were written by the finger of the Most High, right? Tawara, ak. 2 Corinthians 13:5. Examine yourselves whether ye be in the faith. Prove your own selves. How do you prove yourself, right? Once you examine yourself, then you realize, okay, I'm slacking on this, I'm slacking on that. Now I have to prove myself, right? I have to start doing these things more. I have to start studying more. I have to start applying this and that more. I have to start praying more. Okay, you know what? I'm slacking here. I need to start fasting more, right? It says, know ye not your own selves. You don't even know your own self, right? You don't realize that you're making an idol out of social media, that you're making an idol out of whatever you're spending too much time on. How that Hamashiach Yahushua is in you, except ye be reprobates. So, right, John, the first chapter, as I always say, Yahushua is the word in the flesh, right? So when it says how that Yahushua Hamashiach Yahushua is in you, how that the word is in you, except ye be reprobates. Is the word really in you to the point where it's making you prove your own self, right? And how do you prove yourself? By actually following the word, right? I knew someone that was so called in the faith that was quoting all these verses about being set apart, and then and this verse, and then Leviticus 20:26, and in Amos it says, can two walk together except they be agreed, and then in 2 Corinthians the 6th chapter, and just quoting all these verses, right? And then hanging out with wicked people, right? That's you have to prove yourself by actually following these things, right? Khan, all praises, Khan, all praise the Most High. Right, so that's another one, and I mean I'll kind of digress on that one. That one's pretty self-explanatory, right? Spending too much time on social media is going to take away from the things that you actually need to do in the real world, right? Because social media isn't the real world, even though some people will swear up and down that it is, right? So another thing that definitely I would say is a big, and man, I wrote down a lot of them. I'm probably, it's already like 118 here where I'm at. I might just do a part 2 of this, but we'll see. So James 1:8, a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways, right? You can't be double-minded in this truth. It's going to lead to instability in every other part of life, right? Because think about it. The most important thing in your life is supposed to be the truth, right? That's the biggest thing in your life, or it should be. So now, if you're being double-minded in the truth, in the most important thing, right? Then of course you're going to be double-minded in everything else that's smaller. It's just going to trickle down to every other aspect of life, right? So that's why it says you'll be unstable in all of your ways. You can be double-minded and unstable in all of your ways, right? So another thing, or actually, let me see. So we went over false balances, right? Proverbs 11:1. A false balance is an abomination to the Most High. Being lukewarm is really showing hypocrisy, right? Because there's people new, and this is what a lot of people don't understand, right? That there's a lot of people that are newer coming into this truth and younger even. I mean, I've had brothers as young as like 14, 15 hit me up, right? Even sisters that age, or even in their 20s, 30s, etc., that are coming into the truth. And when they see hypocrisy amongst people that are saying, I'm Israel, I'm this, I'm that, right? They see that hypocrisy and it kind of pushes them away, right? It kind of turns them off from the truth. And even though they shouldn't put their faith in the people that are claiming they're Israel, they should put their faith in the Most High and not in men. But when you're young in the truth like that, that sort of thing is going to push you away from it. And that's why we have to stay as far away from hypocrisy as possible, right? So then we also talked about learning from social media only, not studying enough, right? Con. Learning from social media, etc. Brothers that teach on social media or teach out in the streets, in camps, congregations, etc. But then your household is lacking, right? You got your wife or people in your household asking for breakdowns and for things like that because you're not paying as much attention or you're not pouring into, I guess I should say, your household as much as you should be, right? Then another one was following lascivious women, right? Which, like we read, Psalm 101 and 3, it says not to set any wicked thing before your eyes, right? To flee from the face, flee from sin as from the face of a serpent, right? Then we were talking about obviously lascivious women that don't have discretion, same shameless women, etc. And how it says in Galatians 5 and 19 through 21, it says if you're being lascivious, you will not make it or you will not inherit the kingdom of the Most High, right? Because you're suffering sin upon your neighbor, Leviticus 19. And like Yahushua said in Matthew 5, I believe 28, he said that if a man's lusting after a woman, that he's committing adultery in his heart, right? And so therefore a lascivious woman cannot make it into the kingdom, right? Kanak Barzaya, I missed a lot. It's cool. You could go back and watch it a little later if you want to. Then we talked about covetousness, right? Or did we talk about? I don't think we talked about covetousness. Let's go back to. You want to give me Exodus 20 and what is it? 17, Baba Kashaw? Because that's definitely another big one, right? Covetousness. It what most people don't realize is through social media, they're coveting things and coveting people's um people's lives that in many cases aren't even real, right? In many cases, the things that they're coveting through social media, they see, oh man, look at this couple, they look so happy, right? Look at them over there at this place. I really want that, right? And in reality, in many cases, like I said, it's not even real. They're having more problems than you are, right? They hate their life, they're cheating on one another, whatever the case may be, right? Or you're coveting a car that this person's standing next to, $100,000 car, and they don't even own it, right? They're in debt up to their eyes because they're trying to pay it. They're about to lose it, right? So this is Exodus 20 and 17. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's. Right. So that's another huge problem with social media because all it's doing is feeding you images visually, right? And then the little caption, and people could say whatever they want, whether it's true or not. But you see these pictures and you're swiping, and like it says here, you shall not covet your neighbor's house. Maybe you see, man, they just got a new house, man. I really wish I had a house like that, right? You're coveting. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife. You see a brother post a picture of his wife, and you start coveting, or a brother posts a picture with his two wives and you start, man, I really wish I was like that, right? So coveting is a huge problem as well, which really just leads to jealousy, envy. All of these things are the same, right? Con, that's off. That's off. Ok. And that's, but guess what? This is what social media was created to do. It's created to make us sin, right? I don't know if y'all saw the video. Um, if y'all saw the video that I posted up on Instagram, I believe, yeah, it was the last post that I made. Um, how the man's talking about the owner or the creator of LinkedIn, which I believe is another social media. I don't know. I've never used it. But I've heard of it a few times. He was saying that every successful social media platform, right, is based off of sin, right? They're gonna get you to covet. They're gonna get you to hate your neighbor, cause let's be real, right? It's like I posted on the other on Instagram. The live was gonna be called um rebuke is better than secret love, right? Open rebuke is better than secret love. A lot of people have secret covetousness because of social media. A lot of people have secret hatred because of social media, right? You don't even know this person, but now you're hating on them because you're jealous, you're envious, you're covetous, right? Or even another big one, which I didn't even write down, right? But is tail bearing, right? And if you want to pull up what is it, Leviticus 19 and I believe 16. Let me see real quick. Leviticus 19, 19 and 16, Baba Kasha'ak, right? That's another thing that's very prevalent and is pushed through social media as well, right? Not just because we're talking about right now covetousness, jealousy, envy, etc., right? But that leads to tail bearing, right? Leviticus 19 and 16, thou shalt not go up and down as a talebearer among thy people, neither shalt thou stand against the blood of thy neighbor. I am Yahweh. So talebearing back and forth, right? I've had in the past many times where it'll be like, yeah, well, this brother said this about you, or this sister said this, and that's talebearing, right? That's something that shouldn't be going on amongst our people, but it's so easy to do through social media, right? And that's why it's best to not partake in that whatsoever, right? Not to partake in that at all. If somebody is like, hey, this person, this, that, and the other, and I know I said it on a on a previous live recently. If anybody, using me as an example, if anybody says, oh yeah, the brother Kana, this, that, and the other, well then I would expect, if you're in the truth, to be like, all right, well, let's get a hold of him. Let's see, not you're not gonna go along with it, right? You're gonna be like, okay, let's get a hold of him. Let's make him a part of the conversation. Because if not, you're partaking in tail bearing, right? Because you don't have both sides of the story, so you don't have the whole story. Therefore, it is just a tale, right? Let me go back up on the comments. Salaki, I'm on my phone, so it only shows a couple. Um, that's off, Khan. Okay, Ashley Yasharala, I'll praise the Most High. This is a great class. I wish all of your classes came on audio so I could listen in the car. Khan. I mean, you can just, if you get if you got Bluetooth, you can just hook it up, right, and listen. Or if you have an aux, Khan, that crafty counsel, Khan, Psalm 83. They take crafty counsel against us, right? If y'all haven't read Psalm 83, read that. They're taking crafty counsel against Israel. All these other nations take crafty counsel against us, and our people eat it up. Tazadak 144, Shalom. Hope all is well with you, Ak. Khan. And pride, Khan, of course. Pride is a huge one, right? And as a matter of fact, I know I mentioned it a few times, but if you can pull up Proverbs 13 and 10, Ak. Proverbs 13 and 10 and Proverbs 8 and 13. 13 and 10, 8 and 13. Backbiting. Backbiting. I remember when the whole incident with I won't name any names as in people, but I remember when the whole incident with Sakari had happened last last Passover. For those of y'all who know what I'm talking about, some of y'all may not, and that's fine. I'm not gonna get into the specifics, but I remember when that happened, and I had made a post about it, just saying basically, man, we got to do better as a nation, right? And I had so many people coming at me saying this and that, and you shouldn't be saying nothing and blah blah blah. But in reality, I had reached out to and talked to one of the main people, which I won't say any names or nothing like that. The main people from this camp, and we talked about it, whatever. And then he said, I'm gonna reach back out to you so we could talk on the phone. He never did. So that's why I ended up just saying that, and I posted the video and stuff like that. And it was just as a reminder to us as a whole, right? But the point that I'm making is I wasn't, because some people are saying you're tail bearing, you don't know what happened, blah blah. But I reached out and actually talked to one of the brothers, and he let me know that what happened was wrong, and that it wasn't going to happen again, etc. Right? So the best thing to do is to reach out to people instead of going around and just tail bearing and saying this and that when you don't know the whole story, right? But going back to what the brother said, he said, and pride, right? Pride. This is Proverbs 13 and 10. Only by pride cometh contention, but with the well advised is wisdom. Right? So contentions with a contention, there's a big difference between a contention and a debate. Right? A debate is you are going to I present information, you present information, right? And we see what information is actually correct, right? And like I mentioned earlier, the scriptures always say, or also say, debate thy cause with thy neighbor himself, right? Meaning one on one, which is what I did with that when that incident happened, right? But when you're trying to when you have contentions, like I don't know if some of y'all are familiar with, I don't keep up too much with it, but brothers and sisters will send me certain things, so I see and know of some of it. There's a lot of or a few different brothers and camps that are well known going back and forth right now, back and forth and back and forth. It's like every day they're just making videos against each other and talking, and then this person makes a video, and then the next person makes a video, and it's just contention, right? Going back and forth and back and forth. And like it says here, only by pride cometh contention, but with the well advised is wisdom, right? When you're well advised and you have wisdom from these scriptures, you know that it says it's an honor for a man to cease from strife. It's an honor for a man to cease from contention, to stop with that, right? Because it's a distraction. So going back to how the brother said it's pride, right? And this is Proverbs 8 and 13. The fear of Yahweh is to hate evil. When you really fear the Most High, you're gonna hate evil, right? You're not gonna be putting up with it. If you hate something, you're not gonna want to be around it, right? If you hate the smell, let's put it this way: if you hate the smell of a sewer, you hate the smell of shit, for lack of a better term, you're not gonna be going and hanging out next to the sewer, right? So, like it says here, the fear of Yahweh is to hate evil. So you're gonna stay away from evil if you truly hate evil, whether that be evil people, whether that be evil situations, evil congregations, evil pages on Instagram, on Facebook, whatever else y'all got, right? Then it says pride and arrogancy and the evil way and the froward mouth do I hate, right? The Most High hates pride. The Most High hates arrogancy, right? Which is one of the definitions for being haughty, right? As a matter of fact, if you could get what is it, Proverbs 16:19, Ak Baba Kashaw, Proverbs 16:19. And the Most High hates pride, and so do men, right? Men with wisdom. Let me get that in Sirach. I know it's the 10th chapter. Men also hate pride, People don't like to be seen prideful people just walking around with their head up high, thinking that they're better than everybody, right? Nobody likes that. This is Sirach 10 and verse 7. It says, pride is hateful before the Most High and man, and by both doth one commit iniquity. Right? Pride is hateful before man and before the Most High. Nobody likes a prideful person, right? Okay, the water, the water. As a matter of fact, if you can get Sirach 10, 12, and 13. Chapter 10, verses 12 and 13, Bob Kashak. This is Proverbs 16 and 19. It says, better it is to be of a humble spirit with the lowly than to divide the spoil with the proud. So it's better to be, it's better to be of a humble spirit, and people don't see it like you're, because a lot of brothers, and I won't even lie, when I first came into the truth, I was like this as well, right? A lot of brothers want to be that brother. They want to be that well-known person amongst Israel, right? But what that leads to in a lot of cases is it leads to being prideful. And I've seen it happen many times, right? When me and a couple of brothers were going out, brothers that are no longer in the truth, that are now back in the world, we're going out and teaching on a weekly and monthly basis, right? We got I wouldn't say invited, but we got approached by several camps, big, well-known camps, right? To join, to be affiliates, etc. Right? And we didn't because there was a spirit, in my opinion, of pride in different ways from each of them for the people that I was reached out from, right? So like it says here, better it is to be of a humble spirit with the lowly, right? I don't care, just like no other brother should care how people see you. They may see you as low, right? In rank, in status amongst Israel. That doesn't matter, right? It's like the Most High said, the last shall be first and the first shall be last, right? We're gonna find out when Yahweh comes back that a lot of these people that you see are way up. People see them as way up there. They see them as like a high rank, a high status. They're gonna be some of the last ones to make it, right? Because a lot of them fall into that spirit of pride. And whether that be when it comes to teaching, that even comes with just people that they get a whole bunch of followers and now they think they're up here, right? They get a haughty spirit, a prideful spirit, right? This is Wisdom of Solomon 5 and 8. What hath pride profited us? Or what good hath riches with our vaunting brought us? Right? Pride doesn't profit you anything. The only thing it's going to profit you is more sin. The only thing it's going to profit you is, like it says here, it may get you some riches through your vaunting, through your showing off, through your thinking you're better than other people, right? That more holy than thou attitude, but it's not going to profit you anything in the end, right? All it's going to do is bring punishment. It's going to bring sin. This Sirach 10 and 12. The beginning of pride is when one departeth from the Most High, and his heart is turned away from his Maker. So the beginning of pride is when you start turning away from the Most High. You start departing from him, right? Your heart is turned away from him, meaning your mind, you start, it's not so much focused on him no more, because now you're in the spirit of pride. And like I've said many times before, I've even done lessons on it. Every single sin, just going off the 10 Commandments, which is the example that I always give, it's based off of pride, right? Pride is I, okay? Humility and humbleness is the Most High, meaning, like, just for example, using the Sabbath, if you're in the spirit of a spirit of pride, you're not going to keep the Sabbath because I want to go out, I want to buy food, I want to do whatever. If you're in the spirit of humility, you're like, no, this is a sign between me and the Most High. I have to keep this sign between me and the Most High, like it says in Exodus, the 31st chapter, right? It's a sign between the children of Israel and the Most High forever. So I got to keep it, right? For the Most High. So I'm going to read it again. The beginning of pride is when one departeth from the Most High and his heart is turned away from his Maker. Verse 13, for pride is the beginning of sin, and he that hath it shall pour out abomination. And therefore Yahweh brought upon them strange calamities and overthrew them utterly. Right? So when you start falling into that spirit of pride, pride is the beginning of all sin, and you're going to start pouring out abominations. It's going to cause you to go against the Most High, and then he's going to have to bring calamities upon you. He's going to have to overthrow you. Right? Pride comes before the fall. Right? So let me see. What else did we go over? Oh, Proverbs 21:4. A high look and a proud heart, and the plowing of the wicked is sin. Just having that high look, right? And you can see it on certain brothers. And as a matter of fact, when let me see, what was it, about more than 3 years ago, maybe 3.5, 4 years ago, me and one brother would go out and teach in a city nearby, right? And I remember I talked to this one brother, Nabala, after one of the times I had posted up a whole bunch of videos we had, right? And he was talking about how a lot of brothers teach with a look, with a high look, right? With a proud look in their heart, with a proud look on their face, right? And I was like, man, I see that, right? I definitely see that. And I went back to some of the videos that I had posted of me and this other brother, and I could see that high look on me and on this other brother, right? So I actually took them down. I deleted them, and I was like, you can't, even spreading the Most High's word, right? Just because you're spreading the Most High's word doesn't mean you're doing it the right way, right? If you have a high look, if you have a proud heart, you're doing it in the wrong spirit. You're doing it to be seen, right? Then that is sin, like it says right here, right? And that's hateful before the Most High, and it's hateful before men, right? Like we read already. So we always have to be careful what spirit we're in, and social media can give you a spirit of pride, 100%, because just the nature of it, right? It's just, that's the nature of social media. That's the nature of society, and everybody in general is to be prideful, to be sinful, right? So then we talked about that. We talked about covetousness, pride, um, women arguing with and trying to teach men, right? Spending too much time on social media. I mean, I guess I'll go ahead and stop there. But you know what? Actually, let me say one more thing. Another thing, and I'll probably make a post and put it on Instagram about this tomorrow, because this is something that to me is crazy. And I guess because my rib is in such she's in the spirit, let's just say that, and all praise the Most High for that, right? But one thing that really vexes me, right, is married women on social media, and they don't make it known that they're married, right? If you're married and you're on social media, you should 100% be making it known that you are a part of a man's house, right? If you even think about it, back in the days, and this is something that a lot of people ain't gonna like, right? I'm definitely gonna post about this tomorrow on Instagram, and I guarantee you, you're gonna get a whole lot. I'm gonna get y'all, just check it out, right? It shows there's what, like 7 people on here right now. If you follow me on Instagram, I bet you we're gonna get a lot of sisters mainly going against what this right here, right? But think about it like this: back in the days of the Torah, okay, how would when a man wanted to get a wife, what would he have to do? He would go talk to the father, and then he would do what? He would pay a dowry, right? As a matter of fact, could you bring up Sirach 36 and 24? Baba Kashaw, Sirach 36 and 24. The brother Tazadak said Khan. Bar's like, yeah, Khan, Khan. And this is something that there's certain topics that brothers and try to stray away from, is what it seems like, right? Because for whatever reason, maybe they don't want to lose followers. Maybe they don't want to stop getting them ties coming in, right? But Khan, the brother said a dowry, okay? A dowry. When a man wanted a wife, he would go and pay a dowry to the husband, or to Salakia, to become the husband. He would pay it to the father, because back then women were so much of a how would I say it? I don't want to word this wrong. They were so much of a benefit to their house, right? Because they knew how to cook, they knew how to sew, make garments. Some of them were like Ruth and like Proverbs 31 woman, and would help, or like Sarah and like these other women that were helping with raising the cattle, right? They had skills. They were also virgins, right? And because of that, because they had these skills, a commodity, the ox said a commodity, right? So because they had these things, they were of a higher value. And the father wasn't just gonna let them go, because his house is losing value by letting that woman go, right? Because now it's one less person to help cook, it's one less person to help raise the livestock, it's one less person to help uh upkeep in the house, etc., right? So now a man would pay a dowry, right? Literally, basically purchasing the woman from the father, okay? And this is Sirach 36 and 24. It says, he that getteth a wife beginneth a possession, a help like unto himself, and a pillar of rest. Okay, but the point here is, he that getteth a wife beginneth a possession. Now a lot of women don't like this verse. I'm not a possession, I'm a person, etc. Right? But what you have to understand is, a man of the Most High, a man that has wisdom, knows how to possess something. Right? If you not saying I would ever do this, because I would never waste that much money, right? But if you get $100,000 car, if you have wisdom, you're gonna take care of that possession to the best of your ability, right? Not just gonna, you're never gonna wash it. You're gonna be walking in it with mud all on your shoes. You're gonna let people eat in your car, right? You're not gonna do that, because you have wisdom, and you know this is like the brother said right here, Khan, high values commodity, right? High value. Of course, a woman of the Most High is a very high value, right? So when you begin that possession, and when a man of the Most High gets that possession, if he is a man of the Most High and has wisdom, he is going to take care of that possession, because he knows how high of a value it is, especially in these last days, right? There's many sisters, that so-called sisters, that are not of high value, right? Let's just say that. And I know, because I'm like, even though I'm married, right, I've talked to multiple sisters about possibly becoming sister wife and stuff like that in the past year, and I could tell you, I don't have a second wife. Why? Because, like the brother said here, high value commodity, right? A lot of sisters proclaim to be of high value, but are not of high value. Let's just put it that way. So when a man begins a possession, that's what it says, right? And you used to pay a dowry, okay? And doesn't don't the scriptures say we were bought with a price, right? We were bought with a price, because Yahushai bought the price for us to have grace and to try to make it to the kingdom, right? And then in Ephesians, the 5th chapter, um, like I believe we read it in the last live, right? Christ is the husbandman. The church is who? The wife, right? That was bought with a price. Okay, so the husband and the wife is representative of that, right? Christ being the husbandman, the church being the bride. The bride was bought with a price by the husband, Yahushai, right? That's what the husband and the wife represent. Okay, so when it comes to married women, why would you not even make it known that you are married to this man? Right? That would be like the church not letting people know that they're married to Yahushua. Not letting people know. They don't want people to know they're in the truth. They don't want people to know they follow the Bible. Right? So to me, that's just that's crazy to me. I can't even understand that. Right? So if you're married, if you're a married woman, you should 144% be letting it known that you're married on social media, because I know like certain sisters or message me or comment or add me or something, and I'll go to their page and be like, okay, who is this? Do I know this person? And I'll go, and if it says married, I'm swiping right off of there. Right? I ain't looking at nothing on that person's page because it says they're married, and guess what? They belong to somebody else. They are a possession to another man's house. Like the brother said, Khan, that's plain. That's plain, Hawk. Right? But like the scriptures say, the 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 scriptures are plain. It says the Most High's ways are plain to the holy, but they're stumbling blocks to the wicked, right? To those that don't want to follow him, it's a stumbling block. That should be plain and simple for everybody to understand. If you're married, make it known that you're married, right? Because you never know. Maybe, and there's even sisters I know, because when my rib had social media, or when she had Instagram, she would even say like, wait, this sister, like I was looking at her page, I was talking to her through message, and she's saying she's married, but like she's married. She doesn't have no pictures with her husband, right? That's, to me, that's already getting shady, right? That's already getting down the line of she's trying to hide it, right? And we know that's not for good reasons. And then you even have some sisters that they have different, they're different people on different social medias. Let's say that. On Instagram, they're all about the Most High. On Facebook, they're all about business. Now on Snapchat, there ain't nothing about the Most High, right? So we just got to be real careful when it comes to social media in general. And if you're married, well, I'll say it one last time: if you're married, you should make it known that you're married, sisters, because you belong to that man, just like the church belongs to Yahushua, right? So there's a few more things I could go over and say and stuff of that things like that, but it's almost 2 o'clock in the morning where I'm at. So the water to all of y'all for tuning in. The water Barzayah for posting up the verses. I appreciate that out. And I don't know if you're still on here, um, Barlos, but I appreciate you posting up the verses for the first about hour. Hopefully, most high willing, it'll this will be edifying to at least a couple people, make them turn from the wicked ways. Because like it says in Luke 15:10, when one person turns from their sin and repents, all the angels in heaven rejoice, right? So with that, I'll say all praise to the Most High. Barzayah, Khan. All praise to the Most High, the water. So with that, I'll say all praise to the Most High, Yahweh, Basham Hamashiach wa Malak Yahweh Shai, which is the name of the Father, and the Son in the Paleo Hebrew tongue. Khan. All praise to the Most High. Ayan the Barak. Ayan the Bar. All praise to the Most High. The water for the help, and y'all stay in the spirit. Most High willing. I might go live before Sabbath. If not, then on Sabbath for sure. Right? Shalom. Yahweh Bashem. Yahweh Shai Barakatah.